Hello family, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Angela, and here on this channel I create beauty, fashion, and lifestyle content, in particular for the woman over 40. Now today's video is not about beauty, it's not about fashion, but certainly about life. I have a special guest here today. You've seen her on my channel several times. You've probably heard me talk about her again and again. She is a part of my Triangle Tribe from Saudi Arabia, and my special guest is Veronica Laughlin, better known to me and our family as Ronnie. And the reason she's here today is to discuss her book,
An Atypical Journey, Facing Breast Cancer Alone in the Middle East with God and My Tribe.
I'm so excited to have Ronnie here today. Y'all know she's my sister for real. We're being very professional. But this is my sister from another mister. And I'm so proud of her for writing her book. And she talks about her tribe. I'm a part of her tribe.
Yes.
Of course, in Saudi. But I wanted to get her on here, not to just promote her book, but to tell you all about the book and how insightful it is and how helpful it is. And if you have anyone that's on their cancer journey, especially their breast cancer journey, or if you're on your journey yourself, this is a great resource for you. And she'll tell you also about what is the additional book that you have that goes along with this?
So it's going to be a companion book called My Appointment Notebook, and that's the book that the cancer patient will take to each appointment, and it'll have different sections for like the breast surgeon, the oncologist, radiology, radiation, everything that you need to take to your appointments to keep all of your information in one spot.
That's good. And I'm almost done with the book. I just got it recently. And I wanted to talk to her and ask her some questions that came, my husband behind the camera telling me to sit up. Some questions that came to mind. My daughter came up with some of the questions, some were mine. Although I was there with her, I wanted to hear her version of the journey and give you all some insight on the journey and some helpful tips and things of that nature. So I have some questions here in my notebook. Don't look at my notebook and all the tabs. Don't look at that. So I have some questions for you, Ronnie.
Yes.
Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I wrote my questions down so I wouldn't forget anything. Okay.
Great.
So the first question is, when many people face illnesses or heart struggles, they get stuck in the phrase of asking, why me? Mm-hmm. How did you get past having that pity party and build the strength to press forward?
That's a great question. You know, I didn't have time for a pity party because it was during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And I quickly had to go forward in my thinking to think, how am I going to get to and from my appointments? Because I knew that I was going to have chemo. Mm-hmm. So in the Middle East, they were on lockdown a lot more strict than they were in the US. So even though I had my tribe there, a couple of members of the tribe there, I wasn't sure, you know, where they had been and where they were going to be, you know, because my immune system was going to be compromised and everything. So didn't have time for pity. I had to go right into my intellectual mode. Mm-hmm. You know, I didn't have time for an emotional response. And that's something one of my mentors, Amelia Hudson, taught me. She said, you know, you can act emotionally or you can act intellectually. Okay. The first response always is emotional, you know, that sort of thing. Didn't have time for that. So I had to go into my intellectual mode, and that just kept me kind of on a level playing field. Mm-hmm. And I really didn't, I never asked why me. I asked, and you'll read in the book, just let me walk in and out of this hospital upon my own power, every appointment, every treatment session, and that was granted to me.
Oh, that is awesome. Mm-hmm. And what advice would you give to those who are struggling with the why me stage of it? Because sometimes people do ask. I'm the type of person, I don't ask why me either. I ask, my prayer is always, God, give me strength to get through this. Yes. I never ask why me, because in my mind, I guess it comes from being in healthcare, like you're a speech pathologist, so you work with patients as well. In my mind, if not me, it's going to be somebody else. And now, who would I choose to put this burden on? I wouldn't choose anyone else. So I don't ask why me. I ask God, give me strength. So what would you, what advice would you give to those who are stuck in a why me phase when it comes to their journey?
You know, every experience that we have and every person that comes to our life is a perfect preparation for the future that only God can see.
Oh, come on, amen now.
And that's, you know, that's what I thought about, is that I'm having this experience for some reason. Okay. That's the first thing I thought about. And I've got to understand, I may not figure out what that reason is, and I didn't figure it out until midway, and that's when I decided to write the book. But I think if you're struggling with the why me, flip it and just ask, what can I do to get through it and to help others? You know, all my life I've been taught to help. That's why I'm a speech pathologist. I'm in the helping profession. So I think instead of saying why me, you think about what is it that I can do in having this experience that I can use to help others.
That's some great advice.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So the next question is, if you could go back to a few years before you move abroad, knowing that you would receive your diagnosis, would you still go?
Wow. Wow.
And if so, how would you prepare differently?
Ooh, that's like that question, if you could take a look at your future, you know, what would you do? You know, I probably still would, because I figure God would give me the strength to get through. I mean, you know, that challenge, and I see it as a challenge, not as an obstacle, but just as a challenge. So I would probably still go, and would probably be a little more cognizant of my health, even though I'm a pretty healthy eater, exerciser, that sort of thing, but maybe even take more stringent measures to be a little bit more attentive to that. So.
Okay. Yeah, I can't imagine not having gone.
Yeah, me either. Not at this time. Not at this time in my life.
Had I not gone, I would have met you.
Same. I
would not have met Ben.
Same.
I wouldn't have got to travel to all the different countries I got to travel to and meet all those people that I was afforded the luxury. I feel like it's a luxury and a blessing to have met all the people that I met from all over the world.
And just the experiences of the diversity of those people, and learning that, you know, your Western opinion and your Western outlook, there's a whole bunch more out there for you to explore and begin to understand and appreciate, and most importantly, respect.
Yes, and I think, like, moving over there, I know I am digressing a little bit. Living amongst people from all over the world, it's a completely different aspect than popping over to their country, staying a few days and going back home. So because you're living with them, you're working with them, you're around them, so you get to really know their culture. And it was one of the things that was really fascinating to me, again, was like, you always compare every experience to your experience in America. And we came to realize, I'm sure you did too, that yes, we were right about some things. In America, this is a lot better in America. These things are a lot better.
Right.
The roads, for instance. But also, America is not as good at doing this as other countries are. That work-life balance in other countries, that's a priority. Unlike here, like I think Ben said, in Germany, you're required to take vacation. Like the stores are closed on Sunday. You and I grew up in the era where most of the stores were closed on Sundays for the families to rest. And then a lot of cultures outside of America, that takes priority. And it was really nice, and it was funny, especially working in the hospital, how you see we are down the hallway and get our nose turned up, maybe not turned up, but just looking sideways at people who are just taking their time to get to the appointments. No rush. We'll get there. We'll be there on time. And you could see the people that, you could tell a difference just in the walk alone of the people who are Americans and the people who are not. And I really love that fact. Other cultures really value their work-life balance.
That work-life balance was one of the best things to experience, to know that you could kind of pump your brakes a little bit and still get a lot done. So and just balance it all out and have fun.
And we had. Now that I'm back in the U.S., I realized how much time, even though we still had a 5-day work week, we had a lot more time to socialize somehow. I think it's probably because we were away from immediate family, so we didn't have those pulling of going to things for immediate family. We were each other's immediate family.
And I think all of our meetings were purposeful. You know, we got together for different, you know, either a farewell party or a birthday party or somebody's celebration or somebody, you know, that sort of thing.
And we did celebrate each other a lot more than, and of course I have friends who celebrated me, and so, but it was every single month, probably several times a month. When someone's birthday came, it wasn't just a birthday card. There was a birthday dinner, and people, everybody came and brought gifts. So I really enjoyed it. And I liked it a lot.
It's nice.
Let me get back on task.
All right.
I'm sorry,
No worries.
Miss Laughlin.
That's okay.
Okay. So my next question is, in the book, there was a moment before your official diagnosis that you were in the doctor's office talking about further testing. You were vigilant and persistent in asking the testing to be done that day. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you talk about getting past the fear of the unknown, or that out of sight and out of mind mentality that we as a culture all too often take on?
Yeah, that was the part you're referring to, is the part where I had the ultrasound done, and all that medical stuff was very new to me, because I've just been basically a healthy person and didn't have to have a lot of procedures, but I knew of all those terms and everything. So when I was in the ultrasound room, the very nice little Sudanese girl was doing the ultrasound. And she did the left breast real fast, fine. Right breast, over and over and over the same area, over and over the same area. And I stopped and I said, what are you looking at that, she told me, I'm trying to get a good impression. And she told me, you see this one, it looks very round, that's normal. This one right here, not so sure about, trying to get a good impression for the doctor, because the video that she was taking was being fed back to the doctor's office. And so she was at her desk, looking at it before she came in to see me. So I said, okay. So when the doctor came in and she did the same thing, I got concerned, and the doctor was concerned too once she saw the abnormal shape of the tumor. And so, I had waited a long time for this, because I know, don't give me that look, don't judge. But when I finally had made the decision to have it looked at, I wanted answers right away. So it's no pity party, no why me, no let's wait some more, with the possible diagnosis pending. I needed some information right then. So I think I shocked her when I asked her to do the biopsy that day of the ultrasound. And thank God that she did, because I asked her, and I say it in the book, that when she took the sample, I said, can I take a picture of that? Because I knew I was going to write the book. So
You saw it on the screen?
No. When she took the biopsy, she had it in the specimen jar.
It was tiny though.
Yeah, but she takes a big chunk out. It was a big little chunk. I have to show you the picture.
Okay.
But so she put in the specimen jar, and I said, can I have a picture of that? She said, sure. It's your, it's your information. So I took a picture of it. And this question, because I want to know.
Of course.
I want to know. So I asked her, I said, doctor, have you ever seen it look like cancer and it not be? And she was startled, and she looked me dead in the eye, and she said, no. So I left that hospital knowing 99.9% sure that I probably had breast cancer.
So when you asked her that question, were you referring to the image on the screen or the
it was a
the
sample,
biopsy?
The biopsy
itself?
sample.
Did the biopsy sample look?
They know what it looks
abnormal?
like. They all know what it looks like. Because later on in the book, you'll know that I have another scare with the left breast. And she did the same procedure, did a biopsy. She Veronica, my dear, don't worry about this one. It's not the same. They know what it looks. Even my oncologist said they know what cancer looks like and what it feels like.
Could you tell by looking at the biopsies?
Could not.
Okay.
It looked like, and in the book I described it as a hydra. Remember a hydra in science class in like 7th and 8th and 9th grade? That little thing that had all the tentacles on it?
Yes.
Hydra. It looked like a hydra, kinda, in a kind of bloody water, that bloody water they put in there. But that's what it looked like. But she said, yeah. She said, I've never seen it. I said, have you ever seen it look like cancer and it not be? She said, no.
Oh, I would ask her something. That nurse in me.
Yeah. So that, but I was ready for that. I was ready, and I had embraced the fact that probably this was going to be cancer.
Okay. Wow. That was a lot. Okay, so my next question is, you talk a lot about your parents in your book and how they were very supportive of you throughout your childhood and throughout your early adulthood. I know your father passed away when you were a senior in high school, but your mother lived to be
92.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was so my question is, if they had been on Earth here with you during the time of your cancer journey, what do you think they would have done to help you through your journey?
That's a great
physical,
question.
we know they weren't here when you were
And I'm
going
living
through.
abroad, or I'm abroad.
You're still abroad.
Okay. Ooh, that's a good question. You know what? I'm not sure if I would have told them.
Really?
I'm not sure if I would have told them until it was all over. That's my initial knee-jerk response. I'm not sure if I would have told them until it was all over.
And that's because?
my mother would have been praying every day, and she she prayed for me every day anyway. But I think it really would have worried her a lot. It would have worried her a lot. And for my father, I don't think he would have thought about it, but he would have thought about it, that kind of thing, you know, because he was a man that didn't show a lot of emotion or whatever. But yeah, I don't think I would have told him.
I can see myself making that decision with my mother because she would be worried. You know, my mother's still living.
Yeah.
It would worry her a great
deal. And they, you know, you would have talked with them. They'd say, "Oh, everything's good," and you know, I'm praying. But no, I don't think I would have told him until it was all over. That's just that's my honest response.
And my next question is, I don't have it written down.
Okay.
And since I'm a member of your tribe,
yes.
Is what rationale did you have for waiting such an extended period of time?
It wasn't extended. It wasn't extended.
From your perspective. What made you wait? I know you're a very private person, except for your very, very close crew. And I think I am somewhat. I know it doesn't seem like this since I'm on YouTube all the time, but there's certain things I'm very, very private about. Was it difficult to talk to us about it?
You know what? It was not. It was not. I knew that my initial crew, you know, you, Angie, Sage, Kathy, who else was in the initial group? Ben, that's probably the ones that were close, and maybe my sister, because I told her a little bit later too. But I knew that group of friends would understand the assignment. And I knew that you guys knew me, and you knew that I wouldn't want, "How you doing? What you doing? Anything I could?" Nobody ever did that. Now, Angie did tell me.
We're going to wait here for this phone call now. Yeah. Me and Angie, she got one more day. She done went to the doctor on Monday. It's Wednesday. She don't call us tomorrow, but between then and tomorrow, we calling her.
I found out all that afterwards.
And you would call us.
Yeah, Angie said, we gave you a couple days. If we didn't hear from you, I was going to get the key and come on over. I guess, you know, and that's just the blessing that I have friends who, I mean, at that level, who understand me. And I haven't been knowing y'all that long, you know, but we are just connected, however it is. I don't know if it's a spiritual, mental, physical, emotional, I don't know, but it's a connection that I value. So I knew that when I told y'all that it wasn't going to be this, "Oh Lord," kind of thing, you know. Because I knew y'all be there.
What can we do? What we gonna
y'all went right into helping mode, like you know. And when I had to have the surgery, you know, I'm gonna be there. What's the surgery day? I'm gonna be there a day before, you know. So
you ain't got to come. I'm not.
Yeah, you're right. I did say that.
We're not even discussing this.
I did say that.
What day are you having surgery?
Yeah.
So I can go ahead and put my vacation request in it, and that's just a formality because I'm coming whether they grant my request or not.
Right.
And I think what most people know, even though we both lived in the Middle East, we lived in two different countries. Cities within the same country. So it was about 2.5 hour flight. And so I knew, even though she works in healthcare as well, but I'm a nurse, so I've been there and I know what should take place.
And I was so grateful that you were there. So grateful that you.
Girl, you was
the level of comfort, the level of. I mean, I didn't want you to have to. I didn't want to put you out, but when you said you were coming, I was like, that nurse's eye's gonna be there with me. So.
Girl, I was over in that corner in that room, like I wish.
Sometimes the doctor had to tell her to move out the way so he could.
I'm leaning over too. I'm sorry. I need to see what he's doing, and I'm watching everybody that walked in. I can tell you, everybody that walked in your door washed their hands because I was.
Yeah, because it was during COVID, and
I wanted to hear what they had to say so I could make certain that you understood what they were saying. We were on the same page. And I know as a nurse, especially during surgery, you need that advocate there. You just do, because sometimes you're groggy and sometimes the nurse is not there and you may be so sick you can't even reach for the call bell. And even though they were excellent, one thing I can say about living in the Middle East, I know for myself and for you, the healthcare was excellent.
It was.
I worked at the hospital, so when you work at the hospital, your healthcare is free, and you know the physicians, just like at home. So the healthcare was excellent. There are things that they don't have in America. Like had you been in the U.S., you wouldn't have gotten your biopsy that day. Like you were like,
Yeah.
you would. I need it. Can I get it this day? And I'm like, well, let me see. And
What-
yeah. Here we would have had to wait a little bit
Yeah,
longer.
I totally
but-
forgot about that, but you're absolutely right. Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure you were okay, not just before surgery, during surgery. And I remember looking at you, and you were taking it, girl. You. I was like, it couldn't be me.
It was pretty smooth though, don't you
It
think?
was.
It was
very
really smooth.
You stood up. You did well. I would have been weak. I would have been crying and snot nosed. And you did very, very well. I could see there were moments that I could tell you were in pain or it bothered you.
Just
But I could see
uncomfortable.
the prayerfulness in you, and I can get the I'm gonna get through this. But I saw the human you as well, and that's the person I needed to protect and take care of.
And I was so grateful you were there. You just don't know. So
really,
grateful. Oh,
even when you came home from the hospital.
Yeah. It was just, having that extra set of eyes there, and even though my eyes are keen, your eyes are keener because you're a nurse and you know. So that was very comforting. Very comforting.
It was. I enjoyed being there with you and talking to Sage all the time and Angie all the time, and I think it was very difficult for me to hear it. I don't want to start crying. I don't think about it too much, but because when you got you, my sister from another mister. And my biological sister got their diagnosis, I think, within 2 weeks.
2 weeks, probably less than 2 weeks.
You got your diagnosis earlier, but I was informed about them. It might have been in the same week.
I think it was the same week. I think I
remember
told you like
cried
on a
all
Monday,
week long.
and I think your sister got her diagnosis like later that week, and I was like, oh, somebody got to have some strength.
I cried all week. I ain't tell you that though.
I know you sure
I
did.
did.
You did. I know you didn't tell me until after.
Girl, it was hard. I was struggling with it, really, because I was like, Bronny is like a sister to me, like truly, I love her. And then my sister has that diagnosis, and she's all the way in the U.S., and I can't go. I could not
because there was no travel.
We could leave the Middle East, but we couldn't come back. There were planes that were leaving instead of like every several times a day. There were planes that I think they were leaving like once a week, but out.
But that was
You
a
couldn't
special
come back in.
dispensation. You just
and you had to get
it had to be a
permission,
medical emergency or something. So.
And so I knew I couldn't go home, and then I felt that guilt being that nurse in the family, and it's my sister, and I can't be there.
It was a rough time for you.
But it felt blessed to be able to be beside this sister, even though I can't be beside that sister. And I talked to her every day.
Yep.
And for there, when the doctor came into her hospital room, she would call me if I was, the time difference. If I was awake, she would call me, and I would ask all the questions, and until they were satisfactory to me, of course. And she's doing well, just like you're doing well.
That's good.
Both cancer free. And but it was very challenging. It was my husband was so supportive of me because of course I couldn't let you see that side.
No,
and I couldn't let my sister see that side of me either.
But I guess that's love. That's love, and that's just that. That was good because I never knew any of that until well after that all you guys were thinking and saying those, talking behind my back. But anyway.
And I have my final question, and that is, after your book was published, is there anything that you wish you had put in the book that you might have forgotten about, or that you might have felt was, maybe I shouldn't put this in the book?
The book was written kind of in a stream of consciousness about when I started my radiation, because that's when I kind of sort of decided I was going to do it. So it's just a stream of consciousness, and then I went back and edited it a couple times. I think I put everything in it that I wanted to be in it because, it's all about my experience and how my experience can hopefully help someone else. You're not going to have the same experience as I did, but if you have something similar, this is what you can expect, kind of thing. So I think I put everything in it. I think I did okay with it. I don't think there's anything that I would put differently, and especially with the follow-up with the companion book, with my appointment book. That's going to be that was almost like a second edition of it, because it was going to be the more uniform way to follow everything. So for me, I'm real structured, and so that really closed the door for, it made it come full circle for me with the book. So the book was the narrative, and now the scheduling and all that in the appointment book. So I think I did okay with it. I'm happy. I'm happy with the two parts, and hopefully the appointment book will be out soon.
I know I said that was my last question, but I do have one more.
It's your show.
If H harder. If I were a newly diagnosed breast cancer patient, how is this book, your book, and Atypical Journey going to help me through my journey? What is in this book that's going to help me understand this diagnosis and this journey that I'm about to embark upon?
It's a great question. So I tried to write this book from the perspective of order and sequence and structure. You know, this is what happens in the beginning, this is what, even before it all starts. So this is what happens, you know, before it all starts, and this is what happens first and second and third. So it will prepare you for those things that are coming up. So, you know, when you get ready to have your biopsy, you know what to expect. You're going to be injected by a big needle. It's not going to hurt that bad. The biopsy is not going to be that bad. They're going to take the tissue sample. So you will be familiar with all that, all the wording and the vernacular that's associated with all those medical terms, and they won't be so foreign to you. Also in the book, there's a glossary. So it gives you definitions of different words. So if you hear something, you can look in there and see if it's in there and look up and find those things. So I wrote it in a very simplistic manner so that the person who's newly diagnosed will be able to follow it and be able to anticipate what's going to happen. Because I think for me, you know, I had several people who have passed away with breast cancer. So I knew bits and pieces of the sequence, but I didn't know the full sequence. So this gives you the full sequence from start to finish. And I think that will help to quiet your mind just a little bit. So you go, well, Lord, I don't know what's going to happen in radiation, how I'm going to feel. Some people say this, a lot of people say a lot of things, but this is what my experience was. And if you can assimilate to my experience, great. If yours is different, that's even better, you know. So I think it just prepares them for what's in store. And a lot of times, if you kind of know what's coming up, you have
it alleviates some of that fear and anxiety.
It does. And
so this would have been fantastic for you at the beginning of your journey.
If I'd had something like this. So that's, you know, and when I decided to write the book, I said, everybody has to know it. Cancer is bad. It is bad, but it's not as bad as it used to be years ago. You know, they can make specific cocktails, you know, for the different cancers, and for the breast cancer, it's every day. My oncologist told me, he said, Miss Veronica, he said, you would be shocked at the amount of information we have to read day to day because cancer research is changing.
That's awesome.
So that's a good thing. So I just wanted to write something that would help people understand better and would step into those appointments with confidence. Because when you're armed with information, and be forewarned, your doctors may not like it.
Okay.
Because my doctor said they didn't really like me in the beginning, but they learned to love me. But anyway, because I ask questions.
Of course.
So, you know, when you're armed with information and you ask questions in the format of, you know, can you help me understand kind of thing, they are more willing to give you that information because you need to know it's your life.
Of course.
It's your life.
And they should be willing to give you that information. They should know it, and they should be willing to give it to you. It should
So
not
when
be
you
an issue with it.
So when you come in with, you know, at least a little bit of information, be careful about Googling, because I Googled everything and some things were just not accurate. But when you come into the appointment with a little bit of confidence and you can speak, you know, easily and more freely and begin to understand, I think that just makes it go better. It just makes your appointments go better. And I think that's what this book does for you.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for being my guest.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you coming by, and my prayer is that this book gets into every, not just cancer center, but definitely every breast cancer center. I think this should be recommended to all the ladies that are throughout the world. I would love to see this in multiple languages.
Oh, that's my dream. That's a dream of mine.
In multiple countries. Because I know if you make a lot of money, you're gonna give me some.
Oh yeah, for
I'm
sure.
Just kidding.
For sure.
But I think this would be fantastic. This would be a fantastic resource for ladies who are about to begin their journey. It'd be wonderful to see this on the shelf at a doctor's office.
And that would be very nice.
I think you should put some in waiting rooms. I go to some doctor's office and
I'll check into that when I get back to Tampa.
Can I put these into the waiting room and have it there as a resource for ladies that are just sitting there waiting on their appointments? I think they would truly enjoy that.
That's a good suggestion. I'm going to do that. I'll talk to my friend back home.
But yeah, I wish you success, of
Thank
course.
you so
and
much.
I'm
Thank you so much.
so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you, sis.
My sisters are awesome.
I know.
Well, that's it. Thank you all so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this interview. And if you know someone who's on their breast cancer journey, whether they're in the beginning of their journey, the middle, or even the end of their journey, I think this book will be helpful for them. And it comes highly recommended, of course. And again, thank you so much. Thank you, Ronnie.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.